Dr. Ahmad Malik, my brother from a different mother, from a different lifetime. Thank you so much for being here with me. Really, I appreciate it. I love you with all my, my shenanigans about how we're gonna do it, what we're gonna talk about, what we're not gonna talk about. You're just an amazing person. So first
Uh,
of all, thank you, and I love you.
and I love you so
And
much. I
secondly,
forgive you. I forgive you for calling me Ahmad Malik. Ahmed Malik. But everyone always says Ahmad Malik.
Ahmed Malik. It's very hard for me to say it. Say it again.
Ahmed Malik. But you know
Ahmed
what?
Malik.
Yeah,
Okay.
but everyone
Ahmed
in the Middle
Malik.
East and America, they all go ah, and that creates like this spit in your mouth, and
Ahmed.
then you have to swallow the spit,
Yeah.
and then Malik, and it's like no, folks, that's not.
Nah. I'll just call you brother, okay?
Yeah, I've actually got a theory. I think in a past life, I never used to believe in reincarnation. Growing up as a Muslim kid, you're not meant to believe in reincarnation. I think anything is possible. Maybe we were like brother and sister at some point, like way back, like in the Pharaoh era, Egyptians. You know?
I wouldn't be surprised because from the first moment we met, there was this click connection straight away. And I get that with some people, not with everyone. So I think that's very, very possible. And if we weren't brother and sister, we were definitely good friends. I just want to say to people who don't know you for some strange reason that Dr. Malik is a doctor and orthopedic surgeon. And he's passionate about free speech and medical ethics. And I believe that you are one of the biggest advocates for healthier version of oneself, right? You are the
100%.
biggest advocates for building a healthy lifestyle, for living your life in the healthiest way you can. And I think that you believe that this is the ultimate expression of freedom. And I would love to hear why as we discuss things today. But thank you for being who you are, because there are not many doctors that I know in the past few years that have stood up for freedom the way you have. And just being with you, speaking to you, knowing that you're my brother, that you're my friend, really moves me and excites me and really helps me believe that this humanity does have some hope because people like you exist.
Wow, that's that's a big introduction, and I the imposter syndrome in me
So
is
that's
coming out
that's
now.
from my heart. No, but that's from my heart because I know I mean I do need a catch up and I do need an update from you on where you're at right now, but I know that everything you're doing and what you stand for doesn't come without a price, and you are paying a price, and you're doing it because you really care so much about people. It's not just about your convenience and about your family and about your money and all that stuff. It's about you caring about humanity. And so this is way bigger than you. It's way bigger than me. It's bigger than all of us. And that's what I want to start with. But first, just introduce yourself maybe and give us some of your background.
Yeah. Well, listen, thank you so much for a lovely introduction, and I can tell you the feelings are reciprocated. And I talk about you so much, and I don't think you met my wife. I think my wife is always like, "Who is this Efrat thing? Who is this person? Who is this person you mention all the time?" And the kids know you, and I can't wait for you to come back and meet the whole family. It'll be cool. Anyway, so who am I? Good question. Let's start with my dad. I think I'm a product of my dad and mum, clearly, but my dad was a big influence on me. So I'm a kid of parents from India and Pakistan. I was born in Scotland as a Muslim and working class background. And I think all these things are relevant because, it shapes you who you are. And life was tough as a kid growing up in the 80s in Scotland. I felt very much different, but, you know,
Mm-hmm.
different from the kids around me. I was like the only brown kid with a funny name. Everyone was Jimmy, Andrew, David, John, and I'm Ahmad Malik. And so, it's all a bit different. And then as a kid, my parents' business started to do well. We had a shoe shop, then they got a residential home. And when that happened, we moved to an affluent part of the city, Glasgow. Now I was still different because all the kids spoke with a posh accent and their parents were professors and lecturers and accountants and doctors. And, my parents were working class. And while they were doing better, we were still not rich and affluent. And we had all the second-hand clothes and we didn't go on fancy holidays. So I still felt very much different from the crowd. I had this interest in medicine. I think it's because I used to watch ER. For the younger people listening, they probably don't know what ER is, but I fell in love with ER. I thought it was so cool. I loved biology and science.
Yeah.
And contrary to what most people think, most Jewish and Indian parents are like, become a doctor, become a doctor. My dad was actually like, become a businessman, work for yourself, be independent, don't work for other people. And my dad actually wanted me to be a businessman and independent. And that's, you know, really played on my head quite a lot over the years, talking about not having a boss, not having someone that you have to answer to. And you used to talk about that a
Yeah.
lot. Be free, be independent. And I love that.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad also had this incredible work ethic. He was so hardworking, day and night. He never took any benefits from the state. He worked hard. And, for a man who wasn't formally educated, who came to the country with just £5, he lifted himself up and really worked hard and did incredible. And he was intelligent, but not educated. And there's a difference between the two. And nowadays, I would say going through the
Mm-hmm.
education system actually leaves you less intelligent. So, things have definitely changed. Now, the education system's indoctrination, not education. Anyway,
Yeah.
so I became a doctor
How,
and I
how
was,
many years have you spent in the education system, by the way?
oh God, a long time. But, I graduated in 1998 and I finished my consultant exam in 2010. Quite a long time. So I've been a doctor now for 25 years. God, where has that time gone? Fast forward, I became a surgeon against all odds. The competition is crazy. 2016,
Mm-hmm.
17, my dad's been diagnosed with cancer. And here I am working like a crazy person. I'm overweight. I'm now just been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. I'm hypertensive, got fatty liver. I look like shit. I feel like shit. I feel like I'm 70. And one day I came home, the
Oh,
house you visited. My dad was sitting on the sofa at 10 o'clock at night, and I had a plate of food. My wife's asleep. The kids are asleep. And my dad goes, "What are you doing, son?" And I said, "What do you mean?" And he goes, "You look like shit. You're a fat bastard. you know, you're just going to kill yourself like this. 10 o'clock at night, eating. What are you doing? You wake up in the morning at 6 before the family's awake. You come home after they've gone to bed. What are you doing? I am a dying man. Listen to me. This is not a way to live." And that
wow.
was a very powerful wake up call. I couldn't sleep that night. I
Yeah.
just was thinking about what he was saying.
Dang.
And one of the other things he said was, "Why are you doing this?
Were
Why are you
you
doing that?"
insulted?
No, because I'm from Glasgow and Glasgow people talk like this. We're very blunt. We shoot straight.
Okay.
And right, so it's just the way we are. And we got thick skin, we don't like, "Oh, you hurt my feelings. I'm gonna go cry now." I mean, we
I'm
don't do that.
offended.
"I'm
Yeah.
offended. You
Mm-hmm.
looked at me the wrong way and called me by my wrong pronouns." No, we don't do that stuff. So basically, um, he also said, "Why are you doing this? Do you want to get rich? You want to be famous? You want to become a big man?" He spoke like that. He goes, "What is important in life?" And he just left the question hanging. He didn't tell me what was important. He just said to me, "What is important?" So I'm lying there in bed thinking, my family's important. I love my family. I want to be around for my family. I don't want to I don't want to die of cancer and leave them. I don't want to get
Mm-hmm.
sick. My health is important. I don't want to be a sick dad, like with a young family. Because I'm not a young dad. I'm 48 and I've got kids under the age of 10. It took me a while to find the right woman second time round. And yeah, I quit the NHS. I decided, forget the big house, the dreams of the big cars and the big house. Forget it. And you've seen it. I live in a small cottage. I thought, I'm gonna get rid of
Yep.
the nanny. I'm going to be there for my kids. I work 3 days a week. My wife works 3 days a week. We will just spend less, stay out of debt, and I will be there for my children, and I will get fit and healthy. So I and my wife started going on a journey of health. We lost weight. We started to exercise. We started to go to sleep on time. I used to go to bed at 1, 2 in the morning. And we started to change our diet.
Now?
Yeah. Now I go
When
to
do you
bed
go
about
to bed now?
10, half 10, I'll be asleep most nights. And I wake up at 6.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at what it takes to be healthy. And suddenly my weight went from 86 kilograms to 72. I'm lean. My waist size has gone from 34 to 28. I've got hardly any belly fat. I think not long from now, I might even have a 6-pack. I feel youthful, energetic. My wife looks hot.
You're a hunk
Like
of funk. Yes.
no, but my wife looks like incredible, incredible. And I'm there for my kids. And I'm happy and relaxed. And what's really shocked me, Ephra, is like all the things that I've realized what it takes to be healthy was not taught to me in med school. Do you not find that shocking?
Mm.
And then you
It
think,
is shocking.
right? So if I could
Yeah.
figure it out with my wife what it takes to be healthy, and it's simple measures, lifestyle choices. The government could be telling this. The teachers could be teaching this. I'm teaching my 4-year-old. This isn't like, oh, you have to wait till you go to university to teach you this stuff. I'm teaching my
Yeah.
4-year-old kid about this. And I thought about this. If you
Mm-hmm.
taught the children and you taught the society what I now know, you would not have the obesity epidemic, the cancer epidemic, the dementia, the ill health, the sick society. When you go out on the beach, instead of seeing nice, lean, sexy men and women like you would in the 60s and 70s, we're all beached whales. It's like a whale classification. You're a minke whale, you're a gray whale, you're a humpback whale. I mean, the people are just massive now. Like we're
Yeah.
quite an ugly, disgusting species. The last thing I would ever want to do is go to a nudist beach. My God. Ugh. Ugh. Because we've lost the plot. We're all sick and unhealthy. And why would the government do that then? Why would our education and public health people allow society to become so sick and unhealthy? And the only thing I can think of is that it profits. It profits big food, big agri, big pharma, and the medicine industrial complex. That's who it profits. It
Mm-hmm.
also profits the politicians, because now you have a
Mm-hmm.
population that is sick, often dumbed down as a result, compliant, easy to abuse and
Mm-hmm.
manipulate. So
Mm-hmm.
instead of these politicians thinking, you know what, the healthier the public and the society and the population, the stronger and healthier the country, they're quite happy for us to be all sick and unhealthy, which means these politicians
And
don't
to add
don't
on,
serve us.
sorry to interrupt you, just to add
Yeah,
on top of that, this population is also relying on you as a government to provide them with the healthcare that they need, with the insurance that they need, with the medications that they need, with some allowances for it, with, they will take care of me kind of approach.
you nailed it. You nailed it. Honestly, they want you to be dependent and then
When
say,
did you have
"Government,
that
save me."
understanding? Yeah,
Sorry, carry on.
exactly. When was it that you have that deep understanding of how this system works and you being a part of it, and how did it make you feel?
I think I was getting there just before COVID. I'd left the NHS, this public health system, which was overbearing, central diktat, central policies, national policies, dictating to me how I should treat a patient individually, and really shackling and controlling and overbearing and very abusive. It rewards
Mm-hmm.
laziness and inefficiency and being mediocre, and it punishes you if you're hardworking and innovative. So it's not a nice system. It's a centralized, horrible system. Okay. And it's all fluffed up like, oh, it's the nation's, a prize asset. Look how wonderful the NHS is. It's not free, not wonderful. It's the National Harm Service, not the National Health Service. It's a way of just having people on pills and drugs and tablets. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
reverse your chronic illnesses and stuff. So I started getting disillusioned. And as I got healthier and the more I learned and the more I researched, the more I was like, holy macaroni, I've been brainwashed, as have most of the population. Even now, the food
Mm-hmm.
pyramid, like, they talk about how low fat and carbs are good and red meat is bad and kills cancer and destroys the planet. I mean, it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. So, and this is the thing, we live in an inverted world where everything is back to front, upside down, black and white. Actually, red meat is the best thing you can have and doesn't kill the planet. It's wonderful for the planet. It's wonderful for animals. If it's regenerative farming and pasture raised. And actually, carbs are really bad for you. You should avoid carbs as much as possible. So this is what I mean. Like, it's just
Mm-hmm.
all nonsense. Um, but then I went through Brexit, and that was when the UK government decided to hold a referendum to see whether we wanted to leave the EU or not. I'm
Mm-hmm.
clearly very different from my tribe because I thought it was a bad thing to stay in the EU, because I've realized over the years I've become more and more libertarian. I've looked into the American founding fathers, and I've come to the conclusion: first, do no harm, and two, take no shit, and leave me the frack alone. Just let me get on with my life and don't interfere with it. And government wants to interfere, and government wants to take money off you. It wants to control you. It wants to govern you. It's in the name, government. I don't want to be governed. So it's hard enough holding our politicians to account in Westminster or in your Knesset. I mean, do they listen to you? Do they listen to me? No, of course they don't. So, how hard do you think it's going to be for us to control an unelected bureaucratic bunch of, idiots in Brussels? They don't give a damn. They're going to put the priorities of
Mm-hmm.
their Brussels before any individual state. So I was like, no, I'm not voting for this. The problem was 98% of my doctor colleagues, or 99%, thought I was a racist for thinking along those lines. They're all EU wave flagging, fluffy. Oh, it's lovely. It's a nice, lovely, softy organization. We love the EU. And I literally got accused of being a racist and a white supremacist.
Mm-hmm.
To me, I mean, that's how
So you
ridiculous it
started
was.
experiencing the tactic of defaming you personally when you
Yeah,
weren't in line with the company's line,
exactly. Or the profession. Like, think of the profession, my
with the
doctor
party.
profession, as being my tribe. Yeah. So all the
Okay.
doctors that used to refer me patients stopped referring me patients. So suddenly I lost
Mm-hmm.
50% of my income, and I'm full time private. So the other patients were coming to see me because
Mm-hmm.
of word of mouth. I've treated family or friends. But the ones that were being referred by their GPs and their doctors, they stopped coming to me. And I would even have some patients
So
tell me, oh,
this is parallel to political sanctions. They don't agree with your
yeah,
viewpoint, so they stop referring you. This on a totally professional level. They will stop referring business to you. It's
100%.
incredible, huh? How we do exactly how we behave, exactly how our governments behave.
Yes.
Okay.
So I
What did you do then?
so it's like, I accept that you're a fantastic foot and ankle surgeon, but I don't like your political views, so I'll send you to someone who's not as good as you. What does that tell you
Yeah.
about your integrity and morals and ethics? And that was a big wake up call for me. I was like, wow, doctors, wow, they don't really care much about their patients. Holy moly.
You got to the conclusion that they don't really care about their patients so much because of that behavior. And you are considered to be one of the best in your field, right?
Yeah, but I'm not going to be rude about other people, but people not as good as me, they'd be happy to send them to them rather than send them to me because of my views.
Mm-hmm.
But I already
Mm-hmm.
had decided that a lot of doctors were in trouble because we weren't we were too compliant. The government and the
Mm-hmm.
hospitals and managers were taking more and more power away from us, telling us we have to spend less time with our patients, that we have to follow these policies and follow these guidelines. And there was never any pushback. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it's because of the way the doctors have been selected and indoctrinated, they follow orders. And also, when most of the doctors are funded by one employer and there isn't much option for anyone else to pay you, you don't want to upset your employer. You'll do what your employer says to you. And so I was already getting an
Mm-hmm.
inkling that there's a problem, a deep problem with my profession and their ability to
Mm-hmm.
stand out from the crowd and question. There was too much conformity. And I mean, don't get me wrong,
Uh-huh.
I don't want everyone disagreeing on everything. I mean, that's just chaos. But having everyone agreeing on everything is also very unnatural and strange. And that became very apparent when the pandemic happened. All the doctors were quiet and followed the government narrative. There was no dissent. It was eerily quiet. Now, in the UK, there's
Mm-hmm.
280,000 registered doctors. I mean, say, I think practicing, it must be 150 or 180,000. There was no one speaking out. That's
No
very
one.
strange. And you have to ask, why?
Yeah.
Did all of them agree with the government line? I think most of them did, which is worrying, but a lot of them didn't,
Mm-hmm.
but were too scared to say anything because of
Yeah.
censorship, because of cancel culture. So over the decades, we've gone from political correctness to hate speech, cancel culture, self-censorship, and now where we are today. It's very, very dangerous, the slippery slope that we've descended on. Because now you
Correct.
simply are not able to say what you think. And if you challenge an
Yeah.
institution, an authority, or a militant minority group of people, or the government, the state, if you challenge them, you will suffer the consequences. You will have a pile-on. You'll be attacked ad hominem. You'll be like, you'll have jobs and contracts taken away from you. You'll have speaking engagements taken away from you. You'll be taken off Facebook or Google or YouTube. Your account suspended or terminated, and you're made a nobody. You are cancelled. And we live in a digital world. And when you're cancelled, it's pretty serious. I mean, it could be your livelihood. It could be your ability to feed your children and keep a roof over your heads. So we're talking about serious things. And that's
And
literally
let me take you
for
one
just
step
speaking up.
further, if I may. In
Yeah,
Yeah, in
please.
certain countries right now, you're going to be arrested for saying the wrong thing. Like in Ireland, for example, even for thinking the wrong thing or holding on your device content that is dissident, even without sending it to anyone. You just hold it, you hold the wrong thought, you can be arrested. And same in Israel right now, they're under the guise of the war. There are new legislation that is being put in place to arrest people. And this is two parallel streams. One, the police is doing it already on the grounds of incitement, but also for spreading conspiracy theory. And then the parliament is trying to put an emergency bill in place for arresting people who hurt the national morale, right? And may assist the enemy in this time, for raising questions, for speaking out against the institution, or questioning why the institution is behaving the way it is. I'm on the soft side of it, but I'm there as well. And so many people are at risk. In certain countries, it's becoming super real. And we're talking about Western countries, democratic, so-called democratic countries, right? It's all one big bullshit. And the biggest risk, if I may just add one last thing, is that this is fully normalized now in society. People are accepting that this is okay to do to one another and to other citizens. And they do not get that today they allow it to happen to me or to you or to other people
Mm.
under any excuse or any justification. And then tomorrow it comes to them. They just don't get it.
I know. I find that really, what you've just told me, terrifying. I mean, I knew about the online safety bill, and I knew there were like something similar in America and Australia and New Zealand. They've passed it here in the UK. I don't know about Ireland and Israel. This is Orwellian. This
Poland.
idea that you
Yes,
can't
totally.
think certain thoughts and you can't voice them. You know, it's a fundamental right as a human being. I am free. You, Ephra, are free. I am free to think what I want without punishment. I'm free to speak and say what I want without punishment. I'm free to travel where I want without restriction and punishment. I'm free to work and do what I want without restriction or punishment. As far as I'm concerned, only if I'm a danger to others, causing harm to others, then I should be, restricted in some way. The problem as well is that we've now taken harm, which is a physical thing, to you harmed my
Yeah.
feelings. You hurt my, and it might be imaginary. And the other problem is due process has gone out the window. So whereas before you had to prove without any shadow of a doubt that someone did something wrong, now you just need to throw an allegation, you just need to throw a
Yeah.
comment online, and that in itself will inflict the punishment. Can I give a personal example,
Mm.
or would that not be right?
Go for it. Do it.
So, when I started speaking out, I spoke out against the mandates. I apologize again for the umpteenth time. I didn't say anything during the lockdowns. I'll be honest with you, I was suffering from depression. I've just been recovering from my political activities with the Brexit Party and the abuse that I'd received. Financially, I was really struggling to pick up my business. And then I'm now unemployed, locked out of my hospitals, stuck at home in my garden with 3 young kids. And I wasn't earning for 6 months. It was incredibly stressful. And I knew they were going to roll in
Mhm.
things like the vaccines and everything. And my wife was like totally up for it, and I was totally not for it. So suddenly my wife and I are getting further and further apart. It was a horrible time in my life. And when you're fighting, these demons and everything, you can't be fighting outside. You can't wage war on two fronts. So, when I got my shit together and mentally got more robust and resilient, I started speaking out against the mandates. I went on TV. We overturned that here in the UK. And then last December, I spoke about the vaccines and the danger these mRNA jabs were doing. And I asked for investigation. And that's when my bullying and harassment started. I got threatened with my practicing privileges being revoked and taken away from me. And then I just had a campaign. Oh, we got an email from someone saying you're an anti-vaxxer, you're conspiratorial, you're blah, blah, your social media policy is going against our guidelines and blah, blah, blah. Guidelines. Your practice, your scope of practice is only foot and ankle. Don't talk about COVID. I'm a doctor first and foremost. My duty is patient safety. So anyway, what happened was it all culminated 6 weeks ago when I got suspended. I got suspended, no pay because I'm self-employed. My ability to work in this private hospital has been taken away. 10 years I've been working
Tell me
there.
what they said. What happened? What did they say
So the funny thing is, we
when they
don't know.
suspended you?
We're still trying to figure that out. But essentially, it's my social media activity, and that
Okay.
they're not happy with. Okay, they're just not happy with, and they've given some bullshit excuse. And now I've raised a crowd justice legal fund, and just over a week, I've raised £25,000. So I'm going to fight this. I'm going to challenge this.
Uh-huh.
Um, it's my main place of work. And 80% of my income has just gone overnight. And that's because I'm speaking out against the
Wow.
vaccines, the pandemic. I'm talking about this whole BS that's climate scam, 15-minute city nonsense, net zero nonsense, the whole transgender ideology and indoctrination of our children nonsense. I'm speaking out for medical ethics, informed consent, bodily autonomy. I'm not saying anything wrong. There is no patient involved in my case. There's no patient complaint involved in my case. There are activists who have emailed and written to the private hospitals, and the hospital managers are using this as evidence. And they're clearly malicious and targeted campaigns against me. And
Yes.
instead of saying to me, Ahmad Malik, come into our office and let's sit down and blah, 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 what's going on here? It's boom, decapitation. We're going to just suspend you, and that's your punishment. And and I
You
think
get the verdict straight away.
you get the verdict straight away. And we're asking for
Hmm.
explanations. My lawyers written letters to them, and they're dragging their feet. They're dragging their feet. We asked for subject access requests. 3 months now, they said that it's going to take because there's so much information. I mean, what the heck? 3 months to give me the information so I know what they've been talking about me? Anyway, the fact
Fuck.
is, this is what happens when you put your head above the parapet. And a lot of the complaints that have been made about me are also from other doctors, from my tribe. And I think it takes
Mm.
a special kind of human being to stand outside of their tribe, whether it's their religion, their ethnicity, their country, their profession, whatever, to stand out of their tribe and say, you know what? We're not doing the right thing here. I don't think I think we're on the wrong path, folks. The problem is when you stand outside of your tribe, more often than not, you get vilified, you get attacked, because one, the majority of them are so brainwashed, they don't see how wrong they are. Or two, they are upset that you're exposing how weak and pathetic and wrong they are because you are a shining beacon of light and truth. So I've exposed the bullshit of the medical ethics and how no one who had the experimental jab, none of you Israelis, no one in the world had proper informed consent. I spoke to this guy, Josh Gusowitz. I can't pronounce his name. He's fantastic. He
Yes.
talked about the bait and switch. I've
Yes.
spoken to Jessica Rose, spoken to, so many of you wonderful people. And, it's all BS. It's all BS. No one got
Yeah.
informed consent. And instead of saying, well done, Ahmad Malik, for exposing this and for speaking up for medical ethics, and thank you so much for being courageous, the majority of doctors are
Yeah.
like, oh, God damn it. Now, I'm not going to say all because there is a hardcore small group of doctors who are cheering me on, are supporting me, have paid Substacks, and I love them to bits. And I'm going to name some like Dr. Liz Evans, Dr. Claire Craig, Dr. Jonathan Engler, James Royale. There's a guy called Karam. There are a lot of good doctors out there who are wishing me all the best. But
Yes.
this is the world we live in now, Ephra. Censorship, self censorship. So there's a lot of good people who want to say something but are terrified to say anything because they know you're going to come for them.
I want to add one more thing to what you said. You said that there are maybe two reasons for why people will vilify you like this or go against you in that way. And they're both related to the fact that they're wrong. And I want to take even one step further and say maybe on some things we are wrong or they are or we're not always accurate. It's possible and they may be right, but just the sheer fact that you dare to question something or to play around with it or to put the spotlight on something and investigate and go further and go deeper, that already bugs
Yeah.
them. You shouldn't
Yeah.
be doing that. You should just be quoting the narrative. And if you're not quoting the narrative, anything else doesn't fly. So we've become so closed to any other way of thinking or contemplating or imagining or debating, brainstorming. We can't do that anymore. We have one way to think. Someone is dictating to us the right way to think. And if you're not on that path, you're vilified. So it's not even that they're wrong. They could be right. We can be wrong, but we can at least talk about things. We can at least raise them up. And
Mm,
at least we have the humility to come out and say if we're wrong about something that we were wrong and fix ourselves and learn something new.
100%. 100%. I'm the
So
first
what
one
do
to
you
say I make a mistake. I'm
yeah,
the first one to say I made a boo boo.
yeah.
But who on the other side has ever said that? What politician or big pharma
Exactly.
executive has said, "Do you know what? We made a mistake. Sorry." I don't hear that. And the other thing is, isn't it better?
No.
Isn't it better to speak up and say, "Hey, are we doing something wrong?" And actually, people look into it and go, "No, no, we're not doing anything wrong." Or stay quiet and know we're wrong and we've done the wrong thing. I think it's better to do the former.
Yeah.
At least,
Yes.
just look into things. At least ask questions. Have that humility. And the older I get, the more uncertain I am about things. The less I know. I find out one piece of information, a nugget from my guest, and all it does is open up 100 new questions. So I realize that what I thought I didn't know is actually much bigger than before. I just don't know anything. And I come to the table always now with an open mind. So whereas when I was 20 and, just at med school thinking I know everything, now I'm like, I know nothing. I'm keeping an open mind. Anything's possible. Just anything's possible.
And people forget that when we question and we realize that something was wrong, whether it was malicious, harmful, or intended, or even not intended, and without any purpose, and it was just wrong, that is the only path to learn. That is the only path to ensure that we don't make the same mistake again, or that we learn from it and put in place some measures, some policies, some procedures to guard us, to keep us safe from falling into the same bait again. And we're inside that vicious circle that because we censor everything, because we don't allow free speech, we are falling into worse and worse situations all the time.
100%. And I don't know, is this just a cycle of humanity? Nothing ever changes. The only thing that changes are the actors and the stage. The story just keeps repeating
Yes,
itself.
all the
The
time.
empires grow with innovation and adventure and risk taking. And then you get, a period of stability, but then that descends into complacency and decadence. And then you have the fall. And with the fall, there's desperation amongst the leaders to hold on to their power, but it's just literally like sand falling between their fingers. And as they do that, you then descend into chaos and barbarism, and then the cycle repeats itself. It seems like we're just
Ahmed,
doomed
have
to this
you
cycle.
watched? Yeah, you're right. You're 100% right. Have you watched the movie, The Shock Doctrine, or read the book by Naomi Klein?
No.
The Shock Doctrine? Okay, you must watch that or read the
Okay.
book. But it's a
Okay.
heavy book. The movie is an hour and a half, basically showing how the same playbook repeats itself in different countries around the world to bring about war, which will bring about chaos, which will bring about bad economy or economic decisions, which will bring about bad inflations and other processes that will basically ruin people's lives and will only strengthen harsher types of governance, and basically the US is behind a lot of that. So it's a must movie to watch, or a book to
Okay.
read, and I will give you the link for it. It's not new, but it's just simply amazing to see how we're reliving the same cycle over and over again. But I want to ask you, so what are you doing today? Now you have this, is it a suspension
Yeah.
notice against you, and you've lost your job or the clinic? What do you do now?
Yeah, I mean, they've taken me off the website. They've barred me from doing any clinics or operating there. So, yeah, really good question. What do I do? So, I mean, this morning I had a small clinic in London. I saw 3 patients, but you can't survive on 3 patients a week. And I'm having to
Hmm.
think out the box now. So I started this podcast as a hobby. You've been in my studio, so I spent half my
Hmm.
my savings on this,
Hmm.
building a garden studio, getting the cameras, the mics, the laptop, the sound system, the audio visual cameras, like the website up and running. And this was my not it wasn't designed to make money. It was designed to fight back because I didn't see
Hmm.
any solution. I saw all the problems. I think we should talk about the problems that we've got today in this world. So I could see all the problems, but I couldn't see any solutions. I don't trust any
Hmm.
politicians. Ed Griffin said, anyone who trusts a politician is an idiot. And I agree with him. Okay. Simple as politicians are scum. They're basically the biggest scam and fraudsters and criminals who are trying to find a legitimate way of stealing money and grabbing power. They are not good people. Okay. So I don't
Hmm.
trust politicians. I don't believe that voting is going to make any difference. What the hell? Like, we talk about democracy. And I mean, look in the States, you got two-party system. And really, where's the choice? Because when it really comes to the important matters, they're all saying the same thing. There's no point saying you differ on trivial matters, but when it really comes to the crux, you're both just saying the same thing. And maybe one is saying, oh, we need to do more of that. And so that's very much what you also have in the UK. You got this two-party system. This whole idea of left and right is a bullshit construct. It's a lie. It's there to fool us. And we have a uni-party system with this illusion of choice. I mean, look at the democracy in Israel. I mean, you guys seem to have an election every freaking weekend. I mean, like, what kind of like party and system do you have? How can you vote anyone out? I mean, you got this guy, this power-hungry individual who just doesn't want to give up. And you just have to think, what the hell is his problem?
Yeah.
Because the last thing I would want to be is a politician. I mean, the idea of being a politician is like hell on earth. So anyone who craves and clings on to it, or no matter what, must be from hell, as far as I'm concerned. So, our political systems are not working wherever you look, okay? So you can't vote them out. You can't write to your MP because they'll literally tear it up. So what do you do? So my idea to fight back was I do a podcast and I get really wonderful guests in, some of whom I've already just mentioned, and I start to inform the public, educate them, and empower them to make the correct choices for themselves and their loved ones. So, for example, when someone comes along and says, we're going to force you to take this vaccination so that you can go on holiday, instead of saying, oh, okay, give me the shot, they'll go, over my dead fracking body. All right. So this was my fight back. But now this has to be my main source of income. So I'm trying desperately to monetize it. I mean, I don't know how many listeners you get on your podcast, but regularly over like on a week, I get over 30,000 now. And since the 4 months I've started, I think my podcasts have been played by over 500,000 people. Unfortunately, only 300 of
So
them are paying.
let's just give a few details about the podcast, dry details. How many episodes so far?
82, 83, 84. I can't remember now. And I've got another 9 in the
In how
pipeline.
long?
Since June, beginning of June.
Okay.
And I've got about another 30,
June, and
40.
we're in November.
Yeah.
No, June. We did it in May,
No,
dude.
May 24th is when, no,
So,
when I launched it. So I got like 10 podcasts in a row and then I started publishing them.
okay.
So if you look at yours is in June.
Okay, got it.
So, that's why I'm backed
Okay,
up. So
got it.
I always have like 8 or 10 in the pipeline, basically. So,
Oh,
I kind of went
amazing. So you're
live
doing a few a week,
3 or 4. Yeah.
3 or 4 a week.
Yeah.
And people don't get that this is a lot of work. Like recording and editing and publishing and spreading
Uploading.
and distributing and writing and uploading. There is so much work around it.
Yeah.
Not
I
to talk
don't
about
think
the
people
technical shit.
Yeah, I don't think people get that. You have to make thumbnails, canvas. You have to write a thumbnail
Yes,
description. You need to upload it and all
you're
the
a,
TypeScript
you're
and
a graphic
WordPress.
designer, you're a writer, you're a technician, you're a producer, you're the host, you're everything. You're
Scheduler.
a one-man show.
You have to schedule. You have to
Scheduler,
schedule.
that's right.
You have
Yes.
to approach potential guests and try and find interesting
Yeah,
people and
research. You have to
research. You have
research.
to research your topics. It's a lot of work. It's a lot
It's a
of work.
lot of work.
So,
Yeah.
but and so I was
Yeah.
given advice. Oh, Ahmed, just do one podcast a week and blah blah blah. But I don't think people understood why I was doing a podcast. Every episode from me was me lobbing a shell at the enemy. It was me shooting back at the enemy, and so I'm on a mission to fire as much as possible to expose the lies and the deceit and shed
Yeah.
light on the truth of what is actually happening, because there's so much in this upside down clown world which is driven to cause division and hatred and fear and misery, and enslave humanity. And Too many people are
Yes.
falling for the bullshit propaganda and are turning on each other. And if you look at COVID, what was happening was you had husband and wives not talking to each other, dads and children not talking to each other, grandparents not talking to each other, work friends being fighting amongst each other. Society became so polarized, even more so than it was before. It was
Yes.
getting pretty polarized before the pandemic, and now the problem is our predator class, have these little buttons, and they go, right here, what button will we press today? And we know recently, I don't want to go into this topic, but recently they pressed the big red button, the do not press button. They pressed it, and now everyone's at each other's throats, and oh, this and that, and I stand by this, and I stand by that, and I stand with
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah.
Don't fall for the classic divide and rule bullshit, because that's what their agenda is. So my podcast, all this hard work was about, I get so much satisfaction out of it, like talking to people like you. And, I don't know about you, I'm sure it's the same. Over half of those 80 people, I mean, to be honest, it's a lot more than that. 'Cause like I said, I've got interviews in the pipeline. Over half of these people are now my friends, like you. I'm messaging and
Yeah.
texting, and they're checking in
Yeah.
on me. I found my tribe, and I love it, you
Yes.
know?
Yes.
So that's where I
Yes,
am
I'm with
today.
you. It's a wonderful gift and it's worth it. But it is very difficult to handle all of that by yourself. And now that this is your alternative way of making a living, just want people to understand that if they care about the truth, if they care about freedom, they should take a look at how to support you. So we will put the link to your fundraising. You will give it to me and we'll put it in the show notes.
Thanks.
Which of the episodes that you recorded were your favorites?
Oh,
And no,
that's
you don't
easy.
have to say me. I know you loved it the most, but say the other ones. Like
No,
I know you had Ed Dowd, which is one of my favorites.
okay, no, listen, I'll be serious. So, which ones did I really enjoy? So I loved Ed Griffin. So Ed Griffin is the chap who wrote The Creature from Jekyll Island, and it's about the Federal Reserve and
Yes,
fractional banking system and the
yes,
banking cartel, and it was incredible. Absolutely incredible. He's 92
yes.
years old. He still has that passion and fire in him, and he gave me the biggest compliment ever. He said, "Ahmed, you have the 1% crusader gene. I've got it and you've got it." And it gave me goosebumps, and just hearing it from him was amazing. So I loved that conversation. I loved the
I'm
conversation
in
with,
chapter 4 of that book, and it's just one of the best books ever. It's the
yes,
most
right?
important book I've read
Yeah.
in a long, long time. Yes,
I loved my conversation with Jessica Rose. She is a hoot.
yes,
I mean, oh my God, she is so funny. She is hysterical.
yeah,
I love her laugh. It's like a witch's laugh, but
yes,
really cute. No, I love her to bits. So she's great. Um, I really like the
yes.
one with Sefadine Amus talking about Bitcoin, the Bitcoin standard, because I really
Hmm.
have struggled to understand Bitcoin, but it comes back to all about decentralization. This is the way forward. I love the
That's
conversation
true.
with
Do you get it now, dude? Do you get it? Are you gonna start huddling?
well, I don't have that much to say, but I've got a
Yeah,
little bit.
I
I've
want to
got a
hear
little
a
bit in
yes.
Bitcoin. Yes, I've got some Bitcoin.
Okay, so keep going, dude. This is your path.
So basically, the next
Hmm.
thing was someone called Jane Donegan. She is amazing. So Jane Donegan is a GP, Irish, Jewish, British, real mix, fiery, redhead. I freaking love her to bits. I mean, she's just got the best of everything: best of Irish, best of British, best of Jewish, best of everything. And I really urge people to listen to her because she's a true ethical doctor. I loved Dr. Sarah Myhill. She's been investigated by the GMC over 34 times. And that's not because she's a
Wow.
quack, because she's an ethical doctor. And what she has to say, everyone needs to hear about their health. And there's another doctor called Dr. Natasha
Amazing.
Campbell McBride. Oh my God, she's amazing. Are you noticing there's a trend here? They're all women, by the way. Where are all the men?
Yeah,
Um,
women doctors, they dare to talk.
And then I loved our conversation. We had to laugh. I think people don't realize I have not done a podcast like that with anyone. We went off, we had food, we went and got ice cream, we picked up kids, we had I was just It was
We
hilarious,
had the blast.
right? And
Yes.
the
We
best
had a
thing
blast.
about it
It was
was,
amazing.
yeah, and because you were in person, you emanate this amazing energy. It's really positive. You've got this amazing force field around you, which is just incredible. Okay, so it was just wonderful to be around you, and my kids loved it, and yeah, it was just great. So yeah, I really liked it. It's really funny. After I started recording with Ed Dowd, he said to me, "Can I tell you something, Ahmed?" I went, "Yeah." He went, "I want to say a swear word. It's not a nice word. It's called, see you next Tuesday." Um, and he said it out loud, and I was like, "Whoa!" He went, "Oh, it's such a good word. I didn't really like it before, but now I like it, and I use it to describe all the weak, pathetic men in the world today." He goes, "There's a lot of strong women. Where are all the men?" And you know what? Amen to that. I have to
Yes.
admit, where are all the strong
Amen
men?
to that. We need all the strong men to stand up and say, enough.
Yeah, right.
Enough with that bullshit. Yes,
Don't
there are not
don't
enough of
be
them.
no,
More
don't be a
women
coward.
are taking risks at the moment, I think. Yeah.
100%. Women are definitely taking more risks. The women are incredible. Who else? I had a great chat with someone called Peter Lorre. He was amazing. So he wrote to me just as a listener and a supporter. He's one of my Substack subscribers, and he wrote to me and described all the politics and the economy and the censorship, and I read this document and I was like, oh my God, this guy's amazing. And I said, can I ring you? Can I speak to you over the phone? So we had a chat on the phone. And I said, I want you to be a guest on my show. And he said, oh no, you've got all these amazing guests. I'm just a nobody. And I said, even more important, I don't care how many
Yeah.
followers you are,
Who
how
cares?
important you are. What I care about is
Exactly.
who you are. Right. So who else? Right. So
Exactly.
Rachel Brown, she's a consultant psychiatrist, and I freaking love her. She's a friend, such a good friend. Runa Osgard was amazing. He talked about how inflation's been a policy for 1,000 years, and nothing has changed. JJ Cooey, I mean,
Our
he was a blast. Lubomir Arsov was amazing. He's done this cartoon animation called In Shadow. I urge everyone to watch it. If you go to my podcast, number 66, go to the last 15 minutes, it's incredible. Fergus O'Connor Greenwood, he just unlearned the lies you've been taught to believe. I mean, that was mental. Liz Evans, she was amazing. Richard Gage, 9/11. Aaron Siri, he was amazing. Philly J, Thomas Binder, Elizabeth Hart, Debbie. I mean, like, can I be honest with you? I'm not gonna lie. I
everyone.
have.
Yeah.
All right,
We
I'm gonna
love
tell you a
all of them.
secret. Now I'm gonna give you some inside secret. I have recorded some podcasts which will never see the light of day.
Really? You have? With people that you didn't? What happened? Tell me. Why? Because they were too what? Too what? Now I'm curious.
So listen. I totally value the fact that people listening to this podcast. It that's an honor. I'm honored that people in their busy lives today are listening to you and me, right? They're either cooking and they got it in the background, they're driving to work, they're on their train, on a commute, they're running and jogging, or they're in the gym, whatever. They've chosen to listen to our ramblings for whatever reason. And I honor that. I'm humbled by that. So I want to make sure that whatever content I put out, because apparently I'm a content creator, who knew that that we would be doing this?
You
Um,
are.
I want to make sure it's of a very high quality. I don't, you're
Yeah.
only as good as your last podcast. And I don't want to let down my listeners. I'm humbled that they're taking the time to listen to me, like I said. And one of the sad realities is sometimes, you've got this person in your mind, you're like, oh my God, I'd love to talk to this person. Oh my God, it'd be so funny. It'll be this, it'll be that. And oh my God, their Twitter account is so hilarious. They're so sarcastic, or they're so witty and they're so funny. And then you turn on the camera and you start talking to them, and it's like, quack, quack, quack. And it's like,
Oh no. So you do have
oh
a few,
no.
one of them or a few of them? A few? All
And then
right,
I've
I
had,
get it. You want
and
top
then,
quality.
and then I want top quality. And then I've had a few who clearly were not organized. They're in a room and it's
Mm,
echoey. The sound quality is
mm,
awful. And it's all about, I think it's really, I mean, the video is nice, but you really want a sharp, clear voice, you know? Like, even if I just do
yeah.
this, and that, I mean, it's horrible. It's, you
Yes.
know, as you listen, it's terrible. So you want a good sound
Yeah.
quality. And these people they haven't respected me or the audience by preparing properly. They've clearly been rushing around, trying to fit it in. And as a result, it's just awful. So I'm not going to put that
Yeah.
out.
I get it.
And I had one
I
person
get it.
who was so doom and gloom and negative and didn't offer any solutions, didn't offer any, you know, positivity. I thought, no, I'm not doing this. Because look, the narrative from the other side is all fear and fear porn and division and hatred and everything that's dark in this world. And that's why I think we're definitely in a spiritual war. So we are warriors of light. We need to be beacons of light and hope and love and compassion and inspiration, not that bullshit that they're selling. So that's
Yeah.
why I love most of my guests who come on and go, yeah, look, this is the shit that we're in. This is the inverted clown world. This is the upside down world that we're in. But listen, this is how you can make yourself immune to the BS. This is how you can protect yourself and your loved ones. Tangible steps that you can take to protect yourself. So that's the kind of message that I want to be promoting. So am I picky?
And you are doing it. Yeah. No, you're doing it, and you're doing an amazing job at it. And who would have thought that a doctor, an orthopedic surgeon, will become a podcaster like you? It's quite unreal to watch you do this transition, and I love it. And I urge everyone to go and check out the docmalik.com website, because it's full of surprises. And we haven't said the names of all the beautiful, courageous people that you've interviewed, but you have interviewed some really amazing people. And keep at it. Please keep at it. And I know it's hard, but you can do it. If
It's fine.
anyone
You know
can
what?
do it, it's you. Yeah.
I was going to say,
No, go.
I've always had itchy feet. And what do I mean by that? I'm the kind of guy that loves variety and change and challenging myself. I don't like doing same. So take for example the field of orthopedic surgery. There's lots of different areas: spinal surgery, hands, shoulders,
Hmm.
knees, hips, and pediatrics. Many of these specialties, it actually is very much the same. So take hip surgery. It's either hip injection or hip replacement. That's it. So
Hmm.
most hip surgeons will do the same two operations 99% of the time. There is no variety. But for example, foot and ankle surgery that I do, there's something like 40 to 50 different operations because the foot and ankle is so complicated. There's tendons, there's nerves, there's muscles, there's joints, there's fascia, there's bone, there's cartilage. And all these things, all these different parts of the anatomy can have disease and pathology. And with all these different diseases and pathology, there are different operations. So in my 25-year
Yeah.
career, I have never gone to an operating list that was identical to the one before. They're always different. And I love that
Hmm.
variety. I love being on my toes. I
Yeah.
love knowing that, I don't know what the next thing is going to be. I hate repetition. I hate doing the same thing again and again. I love a challenge. And I think that's one of the reasons why I was quite happy to leave the NHS, which was after 7 years as a consultant, I made a big jump. I left a secure job and a secure pension to go out on my own. And it's not been easy. I got punished with Brexit. I was unemployed for 6 months during the lockdowns. I'm now been suspended. It's come at a risk. But equally, it has its rewards and its freedom and it's liberating. And now I feel like maybe this is my path. Every time I've been through adversity in my life, actually better things have worked out for me. At the time, it was pretty shit. But afterwards, I look back and think, just like my ex-wife, the best thing I ever did was divorce. It actually turned out to be the best thing that I ever went through. All the things that I went through, all the tough times have led me to where I am today. And I quite like where I am today. And maybe, this is my journey. Maybe I am meant to become a podcaster. And instead of helping, a couple of hundred people a year fixing their feet, maybe this way I'll help thousands of people across the world. And I am, because I'm getting emails from people from Australia, from Hungary, from Austria, from Finland, from Canada, from America, and telling me, thank you, thank you, thank you. And you know what? That fills my soul. And talking about changes, I have to plug this. Listen, I hope you don't mind. I'm launching a merchandise store. It's going to be cool as shit. My brother-in-law is a techie and he's doing it for free, and he's amazing because he wants to help feed my kids who he loves. So shout out to my brother-in-law in Sweden. I love you. But with him and my sister, his wife, and myself, we've designed, hats and caps and beanies and mugs and hoodies. So I'm wearing one now.
What does it say? I will not comply. Love it. I need one. Thank you very much. Please, I will give you my address to send it. Okay.
Yeah,
Let's
so
keep
I will
going.
not comply, I do not consent, and freedom over fear, and all this kind of stuff, and frack that. That's my tagline, frack that.
Right.
And and you can wear freedom on your body, on your head, and you can even drink from it. And you can support me. How cool is that? And if
Okay.
someone said to
So
me, even
this is great. Yes.
if
Go.
someone said to me
Go,
three
go,
months
go.
ago you'd have a merchandise store, I'd piss myself laughing. But here you go. Shit happens and you have to adapt.
Exactly. So let's talk about that for a second. Let's stop on that point there of adapting to change, of
Mm.
changing stuff in your life, because this is something people need to get right now. The world is changing in front of our eyes. If you're not paying attention, you're staying behind, and you're staying behind big time. It's impacting your health, it's impacting your finances, it's impacting your personal sense of security and safety, it's impacting your family, it's impacting your relationships, everything. So what are those traits that you think people need to embrace within themselves, or even rediscover within themselves, so that they can fucking get along with that struggle of changing something in their lives? Because people are so afraid to do something different, to go against what the logic tells them, and to go with their gut feeling and with their instinct. And you're doing it. And what I love and what I'm hearing in what you're saying is that, a little bit like me at the moment, you're not really planning too far ahead. You're seeing what comes in front of you, what life brings in front of you right now, and then you step to the next available solution that you have, and then the road just paves itself underneath your foot. So how do you do that, and what kind of strength can you give people so that they get their shit together and start changing things in their lives?
That's a freaking epic question. Listen, Efrat, that's an epic question. Actually, I've
Because
got
we
a.
need to I kind of want to chip in that stone with you, so that
So
people can
yeah,
get
I'm gonna give you
some of that
tangible.
wisdom.
Yeah, let me share some of it. And I've got a request first of all. This podcast is epic. This podcast is epic. Can I please also upload this on my podcast? Because then it will be win-win. More of
Sure.
my audience will see
Of
it,
course.
and it'll promote
Of
you
course.
because people need to hear your
Of
podcast.
course. It's a
So I want
win-win
you,
for everyone.
yeah, plug your
Of course.
podcast. What's your podcast called?
But I'm going to be the first person that is on your podcast twice.
So what's your podcast called?
You're the voice.
And where can you find it? You can find it on Spotify,
Everywhere.
Apple, Podbean,
Spotify, Twitter.
everywhere.
There's an You're the Voice Twitter handle. There's a link tree with all the different links on. I put some episodes on YouTube.
So everyone, I've just hijacked Efrat's podcast. There you go. So just as I do with my podcast, I'm going to upload all the links in my website. You'll be able to find her. Please follow her. Please listen to her podcast. I didn't say this, I'm now hijacked your podcast, but she's got amazing guests on as well. And she's an amazing human being. I freaking love her. She is a superhuman. She is superhuman. Right. Back to me being a guest. Right, everybody. So one of the things that I've done with my podcast is I say sorry. So we're just rolling with this, okay, Efrat? So basically, I always ask my guests now in the end, when you're on your deathbed, what advice would you give to your friends and family and your grandchildren, all that kind of stuff before you meet your maker, health or otherwise? And you know what? Some of the answers have been all of them have just been incredible, incredible. So I'm going to share some of that with you. And can you remind me? I also want to tell your listeners, like, what are my top biohacks, how they can, bulletproof their health.
Yes.
Okay. Like a quick, very,
Yes.
very
I have
simple.
that question on the list. Yeah,
All
we're
right,
going to
good.
get to that.
Yeah, because if they want the comprehensive, Doc Malik Simple Guide to Good Health, they're going to have to buy the book next year. Anyway, let's move on. So we will answer that question very quickly. But anyway, look, I think people need to understand it doesn't matter how much money you've got in your bank. You might have millions. You might find in the not so distant future, you're going to lose it all because it's all going to be taken away from you. This idea of you will lose,
Yeah.
you will have nothing and be happy. They don't just make that thing up for no reason. They've warned
Yeah.
you. They've told you. They've told you the plans. It's happening. They're going to try their best to take away your freedoms, to restrict your ability to travel, what you can do in terms of work, where you can spend your money, how you can spend your money, what you can eat, and the way you can think. So, unless you
Yeah.
take, and these are not conspiracy theories, this is a reality. And the sooner you wake up to this shit show, the better you will be in terms of preparing yourself and protecting yourself. Now, some people might say, oh, why? This is all doom and gloom. Why are you talking about this? None of this has happened. Listen, you little frog. You're currently in a pan, slowly being boiled. All right? And unless you little frog leap out of the pan, you're going to boil to death. Now, by the time you've boiled to death, it's going to be too late. So,
Yes.
your argument sucks unless you want to be a boiled, dead frog, because that's what they're doing to us. They are literally right now boiling us all. So wake the frack up. So what can you do?
Okay. So that's
So what I
step
would
number
say is
1, wake up.
wake the frack up. Number 2, there's a guy called Nick Hudson I did a podcast with who's head of Panda, and he gave the best
Yes,
advice.
I love Nick.
Yeah. He said, if you are in fear of being cancelled, suspended, or investigated by another authority or your employer, guess what? Do it to yourself first. Cancel yourself. And I was like, what? He goes, if you work for someone, quit. Go work for yourself. You'll take a pay cut. Life will be shit and hard for a while. But you'll get to a point where, you know what? You can say whatever the fuck you want. You can do what you want and no one can do anything to
Yeah.
you. You've canceled yourself.
Yes.
Great advice. Okay. Not easy.
Yes.
Not easy. So
No.
start thinking about it. Start maybe doing something on the sideline and growing that so you can start extricating yourself from the position where you're dependent and essentially enslaved. Because if you cannot say what you think because you're scared, you are a slave. All right, so that's that. Ed Griffin says, don't take out any debt. I totally agree with it. I know debt makes money, and if you're clever and you know how to play the system, you can make money. I'm a shit businessman and an ethical doctor. I don't know how to play these games. I don't have properties. I've got this one house, which has been my house. It's not an investment. It's my home. I don't have any other properties. I don't have a home in the Mediterranean or anything like that. I don't have any rentals. I don't know how to take loans out and make money from it. I'm risk averse. I don't want to expose myself to that. I don't know how to play that game. And for most people, they're the same. So don't take out debt. So if you can't afford the brand new car, don't take it out on credit. If you've got an old car like mine that's 2015 and you've paid it off, just keep it.
Fine.
Repair it.
Same with me.
Don't
Yes.
buy any fancy, expensive clothes except mine. Okay? Buy my merchandise. No, I'm just joking. So, so basically, don't
But they're not
invest.
expensive, right? They're pretty well valued, pretty well priced.
Beautifully priced. So no, seriously, like
Yeah.
don't go on expensive holidays. If you can't afford going abroad and 5-star hotel, don't do that. You know where we've gone for the last 4 years? We've gone to Cornwall, where my in-laws live. Free holiday and comes with childcare. Woohoo! This summer we went to Portugal, but that was on my mum. God bless her. Thank you so much to my mum. I love you. I know you don't listen to this, but if one day you ever do, I just want to say thank you so much. It was an amazing holiday. All right. So don't spend outside of your means and secure your finances. Be as self-sufficient as possible. Start trying to grow things, some vegetables, no matter what your garden space or find an allotment, find some potted plants, just try and grow things and be self-sufficient. Try and source your food from local communities, local growers, local farmers. Form relationships with them. Find out where the meat is coming from, where your food is coming from. Bypass the supermarkets. If you do have to go to a supermarket, stick to the surroundings. Eat whole foods. If it looks like a plant, eat it. If it ate a plant, eat it. But if it was made in a factory plant, avoid it. It's full of toxins, poisons, preservatives. These things are designed so that the bacteria and the mold don't eat it. Just think about it. The bacteria and the mold do not want to eat this food. So why the hell would you? And the thing is, it's complicated. We'll come back to that in the health. Remind me to talk about the gut biome. So, in terms of then your finances, don't leverage yourself with massive debt. Just don't do that. I would say seriously think about putting some money in Bitcoin. Like not all your savings, but if you've got a little
Good.
bit, put something in Bitcoin. It's a decentralized
Yes.
platform. Listen to Sefadin's podcast that I did with him.
Yes.
He's the author of the Bitcoin Standards. He is the authority. He's an economist. He's amazing. Basically, not only is it decentralized, but you can't monitor it. There's no controlling central mechanism where they can monitor who's spending what and where, and also they can't make more of it. So the current problem that we have, inflation, whatever, is this, you heard quantitative easing
You
and
can
all this
print
kind of
as
stuff,
much money as
where
they
they
want.
print money out of nothing. And what that does is it enriches the rich and impoverishes the poor. It lowers our living standard. It makes everything more expensive. And you know that. And I know that. Forget the government TV figures about inflation. When we go and buy food, you go, what the frack? How did my bill tally up to this amount? So that's because they're printing it. Now, there
Yes.
will only ever be 21 million Bitcoins in history ever. No more than that. So it's decentralized. It's finite resource. Put a little bit in there. The price looks high. You don't need to get a whole
Yes.
Bitcoin. No one can afford it. Well, no one I know can afford a whole Bitcoin, but you can buy a fraction of a Bitcoin. £100. I've put my savings and buffer so that I can pay my bills and my mortgage for the next 6 months. Because at the current rate that I'm in 6 months' time, I'm going to be in deep shit. So unless something seriously improves, more Substack subscribers, my merch store takes off, someone comes along and says, I'm going to sponsor you, I'm in trouble. So that's why I'm being very careful. Anyway, you should definitely invest something in Bitcoin. And I think the price will only go up in the next 10, 15, 20 years. And suddenly this small investment that you're making now will be absolutely huge. I wouldn't put any money in Ethereum or any of these other platforms, just Bitcoins.
And also gold is it's a possibility. But I wanna take you back to the question, and I want you to answer it, please, sir. Where do you find the strength to adapt to change? What does it take from you to handle change in an uncertainty, in a very volatile situation? You don't know what the next 6 months is going to look like, and still you're doing new things and allowing yourself to take risks. Where do you find that strength? How do you do that?
I think it's about making yourself immune to fear as much as possible. Now, it's not possible to get rid of fear completely. Like my 8-year-old daughter said, if you do not feel fear, then you cannot be brave. You have to have a bit of fear to be brave. And I agree with that. So I am a little bit fearful. And when I got suspended for the first 3 weeks, I got really hit. I was down. I was depressed. I was sick. My immune system was shot. And I'm human. And even though I kept reminding myself, I've been knocked down before many a time. I've been through a lot. I don't want to bore people, but I've had a tough life. And every single time you have to pick yourself up. And I've managed and I've got back stronger. And I've had to remind myself of that. So I think having
Mhm.
that's part of the answer there. The fact that I failed, the fact that I've had doors shut on my feet, the face, the fact that I was paralyzed twice in my life, following a car accident, have emergency surgery and had complications, the fact that I had a painful marriage and awful divorce, the fact that I've struggled with at one point mental health crisis and was suicidal, you know, the bullying and harassment at work. I was accused of sexual harassment, and that was just nonsense because I was uncovering fraud. I've been through so much shit, you have no idea. And I think all of these things
Wow.
have made me more resilient, and that's important. So embrace failure, embrace being knocked down on your feet, because
Mhm.
it will make you tougher. And
Mhm.
to have that resilience, you also need physical resilience. So if you're not
Okay.
physically and mentally resilient, you will crumble. So I exercise, I take care of my health, I sleep. And sleep is so underrated. People don't appreciate how important sleep is. Sleep is when your body heals and recovers. If you do not sleep, your anxiety will be up, your stress will be up, your cortisol will be up, your insulin levels will be up. Everything goes up. And sleep is when you repair mind and body and soul. So you need to be physically and mentally resilient. The food that you eat will make you resilient. Your stress will make you resilient. And also things like love, connection. So having someone in your life that you love and care for, having a community, having friendships, that's extremely powerful. One of my
Having
guests, Travis
physical
Christopher,
relationship and not just virtual, right?
yeah, absolutely. Physical, tangible.
Go hug
So
someone.
go hug someone. So Travis Christopherson, one of my guests, who has talked about the risk of cancer and how to mitigate cancer, made it clear that one of the biggest risk factors for cancer was loneliness. If you don't have connection,
Mm.
we are social animals. If you're
Mm.
isolated and lonely, that is not a good thing. Now, guess what they did to us in the pandemic? I'm just saying, and they knew this. So
Yeah.
so be resilient physically and mentally, and you do that by being as healthy as possible and embrace the adversity, because in adversity lies opportunity. You know, get out of the discomfort. Sorry, out of the comfort. Become comfortable. There's a saying in jiu-jitsu. I do jiu-jitsu as well. There's a saying, become comfortable in the discomfort. So when I have a 23-year-old, 6'2", 100-kilogram lad sitting on top of me in side control, squeezing the air out of me, I have to go,
You have to
just,
surrender.
just
Yeah.
surrender. And so too many of us are now soft. We're cozy. We have comfort. You're hungry? Go to McDonald's. You're hungry? Get Deliveroo or Uber Eats and just get whatever bullshit carb, quick gratification. No one, no one waits for anything. No one suffers in any form. It's all instant gratification, soft, easy route to everything. And you know what? That's not good. You get flabby mentally and physically.
Yeah.
Flabby. And you don't want to be flabby. You want to be toned, hard, resilient, with a nice, compassionate, gooey, soft center. But you want to be hard, okay? So
With an open
I think
heart.
that's
Yeah.
I think that's where I am. So, I was a bit nervous. Obviously, I'm human. I was a bit fearful. I was very anxious. I was very down. But now I've picked myself up. And, let's go back to the connection. My tribe is amazing. So, back to, my 350 paid subscribers, I just want to say I freaking love you. I fracking love you. The messages and the words of support and comfort, and, they're just beautiful. The things they say to me really gives me energy,
Yes.
inspires me. I'm doing the right thing. I'm not crazy.
Great.
Because sometimes, I do think,
Yes.
am I just a nut job? All my colleagues must think I'm crazy. Am I the only person that thinks like this? Is there something seriously wrong with me? Maybe I'm the one with the problem. Everyone seems to be getting on with their world and seems to be very happy. Why am I upset about everything? Like, why do I call all this bullshit? And then I sit down and relax and go, no, I'm right. Everyone else is an idiot. They're all clowns. This world has become mad. And just because I'm in the minority doesn't mean I'm wrong. But you need that self-reflection. But all the people messaging me and writing to me and the DMs I get, they fill my heart with wonder and amazement that people from, really strange, different backgrounds from me, from other walks of life, really resonate completely with what I say. The stories they tell me, I'm like, oh my God, yeah, that's me. So there is a big
And
tribe
listen,
of
I think
us.
there's a lesson here. There's a lesson here for you and for me and for everyone out there, that the vicious plan of dividing us all the time is simply just a plan, because there are connections between us that cannot be broken by anything. When the heart is open, when the mind is open, when we're on the same frequency, on the same wavelength, it really doesn't matter if you're brown and I'm Jewish, if you're Scottish and I'm Israeli, if you're whatever, it so doesn't matter what divides us. And we said that
100%.
together in our first episode together. It's all about finding the connection rather than finding what divides
So,
us. And if we look at that amount of love and the gratitude and the beautiful words that you're getting, it's not just because of the content that you put out there. It's because of the frequency you're creating. It's because of the openness, the freedom that people feel when they listen to you, the inspiration that they draw, the strength that they can take away from you, the tips. People want to live that way. No one wants to be a slave. And when they
mm,
listen to you and when they listen to me and others, they get that it's possible. And
amen.
that's what we need to hold on to, because I think that we're in such a turbulent time that if people do not clean their heart, and clean their karma and clean up their lives from all the mess that we have around us, both internally and externally, we may not survive this round. It's a
Mm,
very tough one. And we have to clear everything. We have to, as much as we can, right? It's difficult,
mm,
and we have to connect with like minded people so that we become stronger together and find the ways to unite and to love each other in spite of the differences. And remember that with discussion, with words, we can create new realities, we can create new movements, we can create new ways of living together. It's just crazy that what is normal right now is war and hate and anger and revenge. That's the only thing that is normalized right now, and it's crazy, right?
I
The
love
team
uh,
humanity, I'm calling you.
team humanity. I love what you just said. And our resistance is to not get angry, to not get
Mm,
enraged, and to not pick a side, and to pick everyone's side and pick humanity. And it's difficult because even just making that choice oftentimes brings on hate from both sides. It's like, what do you mean? So if you're not
yeah.
on my side, you're on their side. And you're like, no, I'm not. I'm not on anyone's side. I'm on everyone's side. And then, you will inevitably get hate from some people. But I've got so many people who I love in my world who come from all backgrounds. I've got people who are Christians, devout Jews, devout Muslims, atheists, agnostics, and I love them all. And they all have something in common, which is they love humanity and they have morals and
Mm,
integrity and common sense and they're good human beings. I don't know if you remember, I gave up on religion about 15 years ago. I was brought up in a cult. It's not my fault. I was born into it. And I didn't like it, even as a kid. This idea that our cult, our sect of Islam was the special one, not the other 71 or 72 sects. Our sect was the correct one. So never mind Islam is better than Judaism or Christianity. Our sect in Islam was better than the other sects in Islam. It was just ridiculous. And, I studied lots of other religions and I found that many of these religions had beautiful things about them. A lot of them were very flawed. And I thought, a lot of these have been captured by human beings and have been manipulated. to basically be used as tools, political tools, to control a population, to subjugate a population. There's a lot of guilt, there's a lot of shame. And it's funny how many religions are obsessed about sex. For people who don't like sex, God Almighty, they talk about sex a lot. And I just gave up on religion, but I never gave up on God. In me, I am convinced there is a
Yeah.
creator. There is a creator. Now, I don't know what form he takes, where he is, what he is, but I am convinced that there is a creator. I have no proof, I have no evidence, but I hold on to that. And I hold on to this idea that we have been created, that we are all special, that we are all spiritual beings, we are souls that wear this temporary physical sleeve, this thing we call a body. And this idea that these superficial extremities and exteriors make us fundamentally different is ridiculous. It's almost like saying, Efrat, you're wearing a black top and I'm wearing a blue hoodie. I don't like black top people. I like people who wear hoodies. Hoodies are my tribe. I mean, it's just so ridiculous. Because our true essence is the same. We're all the same. And when people start to say, no, they're not human, we're dehumanizing them, or, they're not better than us and our culture is better and we're more enlightened and ennobled and they're deserving because they're subhuman, we start getting into a difficult path. And I see this everywhere. It's not one group, it's multiple groups, it's multiple peoples from all different types of religions who think we are better, we are on the right path, we are the special ones. And that's dangerous. And I'm of the view that, we're all special. We're all equal but different. We're all deserving of equal
Mhm.
opportunities. And, the answer is love and compassion and understanding. And most human beings, I've met so many people. I've been quite lucky that I've traveled around the world. Most people I've met, really, really bar like on one hand, a couple of idiots, thousands of people I've met, they're all lovely human beings. They want to be loved. They want to love back. They want a home and a shelter. They want warm food and they want, comfortable life and existence and they want freedom. And that's what they want. And I think if you go to a place in Rwanda or a village in Afghanistan or a kibbutz in Israel or a place in Palestine or America or England, wherever, Australia, that's what people want. That's everybody wants that. I don't think anybody wants anything different. Now, there are a few predator class people out there and psychopaths and sociopaths and narcissists, and they're the scum, that float and feed on the rest of humanity. And the problem is with humanity,
Yeah.
many of us want to conform. We don't want to step out of line. We don't want to speak out, and we are too trusting in authority. We want people to lead us. We want people to take charge and we want to abdicate our responsibility to other people, let them do our thinking for us. And because of that nature, the minority evil predator psychopath class take advantage of us. They go, haha, these people want us to make the decisions for them. Let's do it and abuse them in the process. So this is why humanity will never transcend unless it breaks out of that cycle. We need to learn to be brave and to walk our own paths in truth and light. We need to not abdicate our freedom and our choices and our responsibility and our thinking. We need to maintain critical thinking. We need to be immune to this ideal of tribalism. The only race that matters is the human race. I hate this whole Black Lives Matter. Oh, so did white, so did brown, so did Jewish, so did Muslim, so did everybody. All lives matter. This it's just nonsensical. And people get upset. There's, oh no, but black people have suffered. Everybody suffered at some point. What about the red Native Americans? Okay, what are the Aborigines? I mean, we can just pluck the people out, the Azerbaijanis, sorry, Armenians. Everybody at some point has been treated really badly. All lives matter. Every life matters. Every life is precious. Now, clearly, there's some really, really bad people out there, and I'm not making excuses for them. We should lock them up. You know, I've got pretty harsh ideas about what to do to pedophiles, for example. They're not very. It wouldn't be very
Yeah.
popular, but I would make them suffer. and stuff like that. So the bad
Yeah.
people, for sure, let's deal with the bad people. But the majority of people are good. And human beings need to remember that. Anyway, we need to talk. I know we're running out of time about health. Can I quickly rattle through that?
Do that.
Okay. So listen, first of all, start with the sleep. I'd say 90% of the people that I meet have got dysregulated and abnormal sleep patterns. So going to sleep far too late, midnight, 1 in the morning, waking up several times at night, and then waking up very late in the morning, or then having naps during the day. Stop it. Go to sleep early, wake up early. There's a circadian rhythm. Don't frack around with it. Okay? You might think you're a night owl. Bullshit. Go out in the pitch black and see how far you can see. You can't see jack. You can't see diddly squat. So this idea that you're a night owl, bullshit. You're identifying as the wrong species. So stop that. Okay? So you're a human being. You're not nocturnal. Okay? You don't go twit-two in the night. And if you do, you need help. So go to sleep early and that's
Okay.
it. So stop drinking coffee after midnight. Midday. So stop drinking coffee at midday and find your tolerance. I'm really trying to wean off coffee. I stopped for 2 weeks and I started and I stopped and I don't know what I'm doing. But anyway, I don't have more than one shot now. And even when I get one
Okay.
shot, my sleep is sometimes a bit rocky. So that's why I'm trying to wean off. But I like coffee so much. Anyway, so cap your caffeine and definitely don't drink after midday. Don't eat after 7 p.m., 7:30 p.m. because you need your stomach empty for 3 hours before you go to sleep. If your stomach's loaded with food, you can't go to sleep. There's churning, there's inflammation, it's a
Mm.
process, it's hard work. You won't be able to go to sleep. Your cortisol levels have gone up, you've messed up your hormones. So do not eat late at night. A lot of people are listening right now and going, oh
Okay.
shit. Yeah, oh shit. Don't eat late at night. Oh, but
Mm-hmm.
I get home late from work.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then stop that job. Change your life. Take packed lunch. I don't care. Make it work. Don't eat late at night. I can go into the site, buy my book next year, and it will explain everything. But right now, just trust me. Um, so go to sleep early, wake
Yes.
up early. If you wake up every morning at 6 o'clock, and after 4 or 5 days, honestly, you'll be crawling into bed at half 9, 10 o'clock. So wake up early. And when you do wake up, have a hot shower, try a cold bath or a cold shower. Get that system jolted, the cortisol level in there, adrenaline. Wake up. And then get that morning light in your eyes. Even if it's a cloudy, overcast day, look up at the sky, especially at midday as well. Get outside. We're often indoors, working indoors, in our offices. Get out. Get some sunlight. Reset your circadian rhythm. And at night, unlike what I'm doing right now, turn the lights down, dim it all down. Okay, so that your body starts to recognize, oh, it's time to go to sleep now. So TV, the flashing light, stop that. 8, 9 o'clock at night, everything should be winding down. TV's winding down. The excitement should be going down. Start doing a little meditation routine. Brush your teeth and read a book and do some exercises and do some meditation, whatever. You know what's also great? Have sex. Fantastic. Sleep like a baby after that. Anyway, so then that's sleep done. Next, stress. To keep your stress levels down. People like a patient today, I was like, are you stressed? Oh yeah, I'm stressed. I got kids and
How?
work. Of course I'm stressed. Well, no.
How? Give us some tips.
So a cold bath is fantastic for stress. Fantastic. No one gets out of a cold bath feeling anxious or depressed. They feel euphoric. You get this
Okay.
massive dopamine flood. And if you're getting stressed like a couple of times in the day, do it twice a day. Do it 3 times a day. Cold baths are
Mm.
amazing. I swear to God, it's fantastic. It's changed my life. Play some nice music or just lie there in the bath, waft the water, put some ice in it, get nice and cold, 4 or 5 minutes. Amazing. Exercise. Fantastic dopamine hit. And when it comes to exercise, there's lots of different types of exercise. So imagine like a chair has got 4 legs. You've got anaerobic, aerobic, stability work, and then you got strength training. Strength training is your biggest bang for your buck. And especially for the people who are around about our age, because we are the ones who are fighting the fight back. Have you noticed it's our age group? You want to hold on to your muscles. You want to prevent sarcopenia. So the biggest bang for your buck is strength conditioning exercises. And guess what? You don't need to go to a gym. Look at those guns. Boom. So you don't need to go to a gym. You know what? Do press ups,
I
push
do
ups,
push-ups.
lunges. Yeah, lunges, split leg, hamstring.
I do 15.
Perfect. 3 lots of 15 and add weight to it. So get a dumbbell or a kettlebell and add the weights to it, Um, just start doing these exercises, strength training. That's really
Mm-hmm.
important. That'll just 15, 20 minutes. First thing in the morning, just 15, 20 minutes, 3, 4 times a day. Sorry, a week. That gives you a dopamine hit. In terms of other things about
Mm-hmm.
stress, don't eat for too long an eating window. So eating is stressful. Eating is inflammatory, and you want to cut back your eating
Okay.
window so that you're running on ketones and you're in a ketone state or ketosis. So that's called intermittent fasting. So start off like
So you
fasting.
eat once a day?
Yeah, once a day. I fast on average 21 hours a day. So I run on ketones. I don't run on carbohydrates. I burn clean. It's a clean, efficient fuel source, and ketones are much better for your brain than carbohydrates. Carbohydrates will cause this fluctuation in your mood. You have this high and then low, high and low. Whereas if you're on ketones, it's a so get
And
into
what
eat.
about people that can't go to once a day straight
That's
away? How
fine.
would you do
Have
it gradually?
have two
And
meals a day. So I
what?
started fasting for 16 hours a day. I got an app on my phone. You call Zero, Vora, whatever, and just fast for
Uh-huh.
16 hours a day. That's the bare minimum. Never go underneath 16 hours. So that means you've got an eating
Okay.
window of 8 hours. 8 hours. So that means from 10 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock or 11 o'clock to 7 p.m. you can eat. I mean, that's a plenty of time. So you can have a
Mm-hmm.
lunch and you can have an early dinner. There you go. You got your two meals.
Mm-hmm.
But after 4 weeks, go to 18 hours. Get to 18 hours.
Mm.
So that means now eating between 12 and 6. So you can still have lunch and an
Mm-hmm.
early dinner. Okay. And that is ideal. Now, what I am at is even better 20 hours, 21 hours. And that's one meal a day. So we typically eat somewhere between 3 to 7, 2 p.m. to 6 p.m., something like that. Now, if you can get to that state,
Mm-hmm.
that's magic. Now, once a week, if you can fast to 25, 26 hours, even better, because then you're really getting autophagy, and that's where your body's cleaning up all the cancer cells. That's really important.
Wow.
Okay. And these are
That's
all
amazing.
easy and doable. And once you do it slowly and gradually, look, habits are easy. It's changing habits that are difficult. Okay. Once you've changed, it'll be easy
Yeah.
again. I promise you. So, getting into a ketosis state is really good for your mind and your body and your gut. It's the optimal fuel cell and it will make you much more stable. So get off. So get on. So moving on from that again, and everything's interlinked. So we were talking about stress, but we never talking about diet and eating window and exercise. So another thing I would say is get on a kind of keto diet, or ultimately even a carnivore diet. Minimize the carbohydrates,
Mm-hmm.
especially processed. Get rid of that. We're all sugar addicts. Just get meat and protein. Now, if you've got any allergens, you might want to cut out dairy. Definitely cut out things like gluten and
Mm-hmm.
cereals. You don't need that. Run on a ketone diet, paleo keto diet. Look up Sarah Myhill. She's written books about it. Check out her website. So that's a really good thing to do as well. Okay. And then I would say take supplements. Everybody should be taking high dose vitamin D3, 10,000 units. They should be taking zinc, picolanti, like 45, 50 milligrams. They should be taking magnesium at night. It helps you sleep. Magnesium glycinate. I would recommend you take what else? Vitamin B complex, vitamin C. Okay, vitamin C. Everybody should be taking like 3,000, 4,000 milligrams of vitamin C every day. So these are all very important supplements. I mean, you can take a lot more, but I mean, these are the basics everybody should be taking. So we talked about diet. We talked about diet. Remember, whole foods. You can eat that. You can eat meat. That's the optimal source, pasture fed, and then avoid
And you wanted
processed
to say
foods.
something about the microbiome as well.
Yeah, so the
Yes.
microbiome, your gut biome is so crucial for your immune system, for making hormones. So 70% of your dopamine and serotonin and 50% of the other one is made in your gut by your gut biome, your bacteria. They actually make the neurotransmitters. It literally is, if you have a happy gut, you have a happy mind. Now, your gut flora is determined by what you feed it. Now, the upper gut is meant to be sterile, acidic. And the lower gut, the large bowel, is where the fermentation bacteria is meant to be. Now, if you have upper small bowel infection with yeast, fungi, or bacteria, it's a problem. You have a leaky gut, you have toxins in your body, you're sick, you're diseased, you're mentally not healthy. So, if you take proton pump inhibitors, you get rid of the acid. The acid is there because we're carnivores and it kills all the bacteria when we eat the meat. So you're meant to have a very acidic stomach. So, proton pump inhibitors, it's nonsense. If you have gastric reflux, and hiatus hernia, it's not because you've got too much acid. It's because you've probably got an upper bowel gut fermentation business going on. You got SIBO, you got small intestinal bowel, overgrowth. These are the problems that you've got. It's not the fact you got too much acid. And how do you get rid of that and bacteria infection? It's basically very simple. You starve it. Don't feed it processed carbohydrate crap. Just give it meat for a while, pure meat, carnivore, and that will get your stomach back to normal. And then gently start introducing certain whole
Mhm.
foods as your body will tolerate it.
Mm.
And if your gut is happy,
Mhm.
your bacteria flora is happy, your immune system will be boosted, and your mind will be happier. There is a gut mind axis. So look after your
We
gut.
did a whole episode with Dr. Sabine Khazan. She's a
Yeah.
gastroenterologist
And
and
freedom fighter.
internist. She's
Yeah.
amazing. And
She is,
freedom fighter. That's right.
she's amazing. So, and then it's like, so sleep, stress, exercise, supplements, diet, eating window, don't have things like seed oils in your diet. Don't have low fat anything. Have animal fats, extra virgin olive oil, ghee, butter, beef tallow, lard, whatever. And like I said,
Mm-hmm.
organic food that's not covered in insecticides and pesticides and all this garbage. And then have love. Love is important, and have spirituality. Whether you believe in God or whatever, just pray to your maker, pray to something, form some relationship with the world and the cosmos and the universe, and know what a small insignificant part that you play in it. And if I can, I understand, you're going through a lot of stress and everything that you're saying. I'm going to ask you something. Like, just close your eyes for a second. Everyone listening, close your eyes. Just close your eyes. Okay, close your eyes. Just imagine you're standing on a line, and this line is in the universe. And all around you, you can see galaxies and stars and planets being born and destroyed. And now in front of you, you can see the Earth. And it's like a timeline. There are multiple Earths. And you stretch back, and you're going faster and faster and faster into history. And the pyramids are being built. We don't know who was building those pyramids, but these massive ton blocks of stone are being built. And then, these other massive, structures across the world, and civilizations are coming. Greece, Rome, all these empires coming and going, the Byzantine, the Babylonian, the Assyrians. And there's death, and there's mayhem, and there's famine, and then there's hope and invention and love and joy. And it stretches out for thousands of years, this history of humanity. Now we zoom into the present in weeks and days and seconds. And you know what? We think our now, our present is just everything and everything. But we are just one tiny little blip when it comes to the history of this earth and this planet and this cosmos. And you know what? Don't worry. Things have always been up and down. We make our future right now. We make our world right now by how we think and look and interact with it. So don't fall into despair and fear and anger and hatred, but be filled with hope and love, and that will prevail. I promise you. You can open your eyes.
Thank you so much, my friend.
That's all right. I might have to wrap up soon.
That's what we need. We're both going to wrap up with a big, big virtual hug. Thank you for being who you are. Thank you for spending and investing all these wonderful words with me.
My pleasure. Love you, man. Love you, sis.
Ah, I love you. I love you so much. Thank you so much. We're gonna
You
see
need to
each other
come.
soon in
You need to
person.
come
I
over
know
with your
it. I feel
boyfriend.
it.
We've got a bedroom in the attic. You're more than welcome to hang out with us, and even use it as a base to explore London or anything. Seriously.
Thank you so much, dear. I may do that. All right. I love you. Thank you. Please follow Dr. Ahmad Malik on docmalik.com, right?
Yeah, docmalik.com. It's so funny. I had to almost stop myself from saying
And on
goodbye to
Twitter, of
everybody.
course.
I have to keep reminding myself, this is your show. I don't get invited on other people's podcasts very often,
I'm
so
doing
it's
it. No, you
I
shut up
know.
now. So follow docmalik.com and on Twitter. What's your handle? Doc
Doc
Malik.
Ahmad Malik.
Okay. Uh,
AhmadMalik.
and Substack.
Yeah.
And you know what I love most about what you do with your subscribers, whether it's on Substack or Buy Me a Coffee or anywhere, you always say, and I love that, if you decide to become my subscriber, I thank you and I love you so much, but you're not going to see anything different from me because I love all of my viewers and listeners the same, right? And so don't expect to get anything more, but just thank you, a huge thank you for supporting me. And so please do that. And I love that approach
Thank you.
because we
Thank you so
work
much.
hard so much anyway, so we don't need to do more than that. Okay, dear. Thanks so much. Keep spreading love. I'm going to be in touch with you, obviously.
All right. God bless. And yeah, I really want to share this on my podcast. So everyone listening, you have to follow Efrat. God bless you.
Thank you, dear.